Yes, this is Rich Colin, Director of Football Operations for the Southern California Collegiate Football Officials Association. As we move into week 8, we had some very spirited games last week. Our decorum kind of popped up again a little bit, but we've handled it. All our coaches and athletic directors are, adamant about getting this game and keeping it under control. And we've done a great job so far this season. It's getting to crunch time now for championships and bowl game assignments. So the tempo and the spirit of the game has certainly moved up. A couple other things. We've adopted the NC2A Division I mechanic on where our officials move to on line of game. We had a couple situations the previous week where we missed a good spot that was cost one of the teams a chance to tie a game. We'll have to do better on that. Greg will go over that mechanic, and it was shown to us by the NC2A, and that's what they're doing. And we certainly, when the situation arises, we will be doing that. Again, we'd like to thank everybody. Greg's done a great job with these tapes. We're ready for week 8, and I think the videos that Greg has picked out and I've picked out are very good, and hopefully they're a learning situation, and we never want to embarrass an official, but we just want to use all this for learning.
Starting off this week, as Rich just mentioned, we have a mechanic here for our line of scrimmage officials that we'd like to go through. And in speaking with Amari this week at the D1 level, the flank officials on 3rd and 3 or less, or 4th and 3 or less when the offense is lined up in a scrimmage formation to try to attempt to make the line to gain. We want our flank officials' first steps to be towards the line to gain, and then work your way backwards so that you're able to rule on whether or not the ball is across the line to gain there. So as Dave Batiste always likes to say, the two most important lines on the field are the line to gain and the goal line, and both of them need to be covered efficiently here. So we do see that the flank official at the top of the screen here, we're snapping from about the 29-yard line. We're 4th and 2, as you can see in the bottom corner there, a minute left in the game. The offense decided to go for it on this instead of kicking a field goal, but we'd like both flank officials, again, to move to the 27-yard line in this case, and then work their way backwards so that they can properly rule on whether or not the line to gain was made. For our next clip, we're going to take a look at an excellent example of the momentum exception coming into play here. So the Team B player makes a really good athletic interception right at about the 5-yard line, give or take. It's hard to tell where he secures possession of the ball there, but what we did notice was that the field judge here had an excellent mechanic. If we kind of play this through again, pay attention to the deep official on the bottom of the screen, processes the play, pulls the beanbag out, and spots it at about the 2-yard line, letting everybody know, including all of us watching the film, that he secured possession in the field of play and that his original momentum brought him into the end zone. So one important thing to note here is that when this player does bring the ball out of the end zone, the momentum exception no longer applies. So he's got to get all the way into the field of play there, and then the momentum exception goes away. Here he's down at about the 5-yard line. Now, just important to remember that if he were to take a knee there in the end zone, that is not a touchback. That's why we have a beanbag down to mark that spot of momentum, and the ball would be put into play next at about the 2-yard line, or whenever the field judge determined that he secured possession of the ball there. In our last bulletin, we talked about when the goal line is extended for the offense, and there's a big difference between when the goal line is extended on Friday nights in high school games and on Saturdays for NCAA games. And keep in mind and just remember that on Friday night, they need to have a body part in bounds, somewhere in bounds, but on Saturday, in order to have the goal line extended, the person in possession of the ball needs to have a body part on the goal line or in the end zone. In this particular case, wanted to also talk about mechanics, have some good mechanics by the deep official here who's on the pylon. We talked about how in 7-person mechanics, that deep official, you own that pylon and that goal line. And so, back everybody up. If we're snapping here, where are we snapping from? About the 19-yard line. So we've got the back judge at the end line, the 2 deep officials right there at the pylon. And as this play develops and goes down, you see kind of the shadow of this flank official there in the bottom of the screen, back directly up, gave himself some space, and made a really good ruling on the ball here. So in the end, I think that this ball kind of gets inside of that pylon, and so if the ball breaks the plane of the goal line inside the pylon, we know that we've got a touchdown here. As we kind of talk through this, again, we really don't need to be that good. This flank official is in a really good position here. Comes in, calmly rules touchdown. Maybe one thing, since you do have colors behind you, maybe kind of wait just 1 second, give the touchdown signal, but then separate those players behind you there so we don't have our backs to it. But good job overall by this crew and this official here on touchdown. In our next clip here, we're going to take a look at an example of an illegal blindside block. And we're going to see that this pass is ultimately tipped by the B player, intercepted, and then coming back. And if we pay attention to that action at about the B41 there, we see the illegal blindside block. So anytime we have a change of possession, defense isn't used to blocking like they do on offense there. This runner isn't being threatened at all. Really the action by A3 there is kind of the only one in pursuit. But as we see that B player get a little bit closer and then throw the shoulder into the A player, definitely want to flag down here for illegal blindside block. Not 100% sure if this was called on the field or not. But given that this was forcible contact, not initiated with open hands, we'd like a flag here. Result of the play would be a touchdown. And since this foul on the basic spot would be the goal line, since the foul occurred behind the basic spot, we're going to enforce this from the spot of the foul. B does get to keep the ball. They got it with clean hands, so they'll keep the ball. Will be 15 yards from the spot of the foul, 1st and 10 for Team B. And just for fun, we wanted to show this one here. I think we have a winner for the longest flag thrown of the year, so pay attention to the action by that slot receiver there. Back judge had an OPI, comes in about 5 yards there, and wait for it, boom, and lands right at about the 27-yard line. So we figure he was about halfway into the end zone, so call it 5 yards to the goal line, and then another 27-yard flag throw for 32 yards total. We're not asking anybody to beat it, but if you do, please send us the clip. But I think this one's going to win for 2024. We'll have one more look at it here. We're about halfway into the end zone, and then boom. Our final clip this week is actually going to be our pregame discussion of the week. So there's a couple of questions here and things that we want to go through as I play this through. So we've got a scrimmage kick formation. Umpire, I'm going to freeze it right here. I have no idea why you are 7 yards off of the line of scrimmage between the shield and the punter. Umpire in scrimmage kick formation, if you're working in the offensive backfield, you're going to want to be a couple of yards behind the kicker. And definitely a little bit wider than you are right here because you almost get hit by the Team B players that are rushing the kicker there. But what we're going to see, pay attention to the action on the receiver back here. It looks like we have a fair catch signal, and then the ball goes over the player's head, grounded in the end zone, and that player that made the fair catch signal then blocks a Team A player. So talk about whose flag is that? How are you going to report that to the referee? And talk about enforcement. Now, we also want to pay attention to this action at about the 27-yard line, right about there, where we've got an illegal block in the back, personal foul for unnecessary roughness. Pick your poison there. Can't go wrong either way. Is this a live ball foul? Is it a dead ball foul? If it's a live ball coupled with the action by the receiver, what's the enforcement? If it's a dead ball, what's the enforcement? Who could and should have eyes on that? How would you put your flags together? Report this to your referee, and referees, how would you make your announcements? That's going to do it for this week. Good luck to everybody here in week 8. Slow whistles, call what you see, and thanks for watching. Good luck, everybody.